Good evening, everybody. Ching, ching, ching. It's me, Sab in Paris, for another edition of the Creative Blog and Article Writing Show, or if you prefer, the Creative Writing Show. No, I was going to say here I am, but I'm down here in the corner, or is it? Anyway, you know what I mean. Here I am, and I've got a show for you tonight. I was going to say I've got an amazing show, but I've just got a show, and we'll see what happens. And anyway, it's not for me to say that it's amazing, right? Amazing. This is where, if you look at the title, I talk about words, and in particular, being creative with them, and in particular, words which might appear on a blog or on an article, or in an article. And the reason I do that is why blogs, why articles? Because although I don't want to restrict myself or restrict you to one particular form, on a blog you can do anything, but it's normally quite short. So I will go up to discussing short stories, certainly articles, certainly memes, which is my new big thing. I'm always creating memes, and I've just created a new type of meme. And what was the other thing? Poems. Now, poems tend to be about a page, unless you're one of these people, well, the old classic poets, occasionally did sort of entire books on one poem. I don't read them. But I do like something that is really condensed, like, 3 verses, 4 verses. Do you call them verses if they're not songs? And that about does it for me. I've got this terrible short attention span. I can only deal with something that's about a page long, which is why I do an article every day. And that's it. It's about a page long, and that's it. It's done. It's gone. I've got rid of it. I've satisfied my sort of terribly short attention span. Got something out there. Can move on to the next greatest thing. And blog articles are a bit like that. Anything more than the page, I tend to sort of... So that's why I call this the Creative Blog and Article Writing Show, because I want to discuss, to produce, and to appreciate your short, powerful writing. That's what I want. And I attempt to inspire you and look at stuff that fits that criterion, and look at stuff of yours, which is along the same lines. So that's it. How are you doing? Say hello if you're watching. I would like it if you did watch and say hello. And we'll have a quick look at what things have been up to, what we've been up to. So I'm going to look at some of my writing from this week, and I'll look at some of yours. Some of you have contributed in the Creative Blog and Article Writing group, which is here, which is very pleasing. Lovely when I see you contributing. I'm going to have a look at that in 1 second, but I'm just going to quickly dive over to my stuff just to show that I have been writing this week, and to, maybe get you inspired. If I can do it, you can. What's your objective? Say hello. And also, what's your objective in writing? Is it to write every day? To write every week? Are you just interested in writing for reading? Or do you want to be the producer of words which others will write? So where are you coming from? What is writing to you, and what is it for to you? What purpose does it serve? Dorothy. Hello, Dorothy. And hello, Despina. My 2 old faithfuls. How are you doing tonight? So Dorothy, I'll be looking at some of your writing tonight, I think, because I see that you have been getting really creative in terms of writing. And Despina, I'll have a look at your latest and maybe greatest article. Who knows? So I'm going to quickly pop over to my latest stuff, again, to inspire you, or to let you think, if he can do that, then I certainly can. These are the photographs which the writing has fitted around, either inspired by the photographs or not in some cases, but in many cases, yes. What do you get inspired by? Do you get inspired by pictures, by events in your life, by photographs you've taken, by things people have said to you? What inspires you to write? Maybe a book that you're currently reading, like you, Despina, and you wanted to put it in a different form, put it in your own words. So these are the photographs that have inspired me this week. And I only look at the last 7 so that I don't repeat myself. In fact, there's another photograph from today which isn't here, so I'm going to go straight to that. It's not that. These are some new memes that I've started doing. These are self-promotional memes for a change. It's not that. It's not that. Yes, here it is. So this is my writing for today. It's based on this. And as I came out of the station where my son lives, I just saw this, not for the first time, but I thought, that's kind of interesting. You know, it's grungy, it's scrappy. Look at the rust and this little guy here with half a leg, or a leg and a half, was surrounded by red, like a red line going through him, a red line around him. It's not there anymore. And what's left of this one is the red is only there. So it was these signs saying basically don't do whatever they don't want you to do, like walk on the rails, for example. And I was really attracted by that. I thought it was cool. And that inspired, there's a train, by the way, in the bottom right, just in case you didn't know what was going on. And that inspired this. So I'll just read this to you. And I will be discovering it like you in a way, because I can't remember what I wrote this morning. Does that ever happen to you? So I might even cringe at something if I spot a mistake or I spot something that could have been better. That sometimes happens. But there you go. This is it's the perils and the pleasures of putting yourself out there. That's what it's all about. Can you imagine being an artist's model for road and railway safety signs? Can I put my arms down yet? My shoulders are on fire. Just a few minutes more, love. I think I've got it. I need a break. I'm about to keel over. Look, if we'd wanted someone with the same length of legs, we'd have asked for one. And what about that famous man at work sign? You know, the one with the guy trying to open an umbrella in a rainstorm. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's like there's a guy who seems to be leaning over with holding something, a line, which goes to a triangle. It's man at work, but it looks like someone the joke is it looks like someone trying to open an umbrella. Can you hurry up? I'm getting soaked and freezing here. Hey, what do you think it's doing to my watercolours, pal? Take it easy. Not an easy job for either, but our streets and stations are safer now. So that was a fun little piece that popped out. I had no idea that was going to come out. You know, I looked at this photograph to start off with, and I thought, I didn't know what I was going to write. And it could have been something about signs which were getting a bit weathered. But in the end, this thing popped out, this sort of little fantasy, this dialogue between, you've heard it. There's this terrible thing about explaining your words in other words, which means, in a way, your original words didn't do the job. But that's kind of what I'm doing here. It just came to me. What if there's a model for the positions of the signs, like real models and real artists? Of course, I don't imagine there are. But how fun that there might be. And then I can imagine an entire little scenario of the interactions between the model standing in these stupid positions and the artist. And that's kind of what creative writing is. Just letting your imagination go. A weird, funny idea comes to you. Take that one. Don't take a more sensible one. Take the weird one. Take the funny one. And write as though there's nothing funny about it at all. Don't let on to the reader that it's obviously a joke, because then they can't enter into the magic. They can't enter into the story the minute. It's like as though you were watching a film and at one moment, at some important point, the lead actor sort of turned to you and winked. It would completely ruin everything. Because it's not true. A film isn't true. They're only pretending. And yet you pretend they're not pretending. So it's the same as writing, actually. And this has just come to me as a point that I can make. If you're going to go down a fantasy route, like I did here, don't. It's stronger if you don't admit that it's a fantasy. Like at the end, I say, not an easy job for either the artist or the model for the railway signs or the road signs. Not an easy job for either, but our streets and stations are safer now. The joke or the fantasy continued until the end, and I didn't say anything else. I finished as though everything was absolutely true. Having said that, I did start with, can you imagine being an artist? No, hang on a second. Can you imagine being an artist's model for road and railway safety signs? I didn't say that they didn't exist. I said, can you imagine being one? So I went with my little story right the way down the line. I'll read you one more and then I'll go over to your stuff. This one was hilarious. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was kind of funny, I mean, it's life giving me funny things. These little guys, these little characters doing that. So I'm going to just go over to my I'll go to, shall I go to this one? Yeah, I don't think I've read this. I've looked at it in the photo show, but I haven't read it. Spotting occurrences of the mysterious 1910 on the walls of Paris is an amusing pastime as you wade around the city. Their proximity to the Seine hints at their meaning. Strangely, this quayside stone shack seems to feature practically every significant recent date except 1910. But maybe it hadn't been built yet. In any case, they all refer to the same thing: the height the river reached in those particularly puddly periods. The dates appear rather fanciful, as the three highest floods, in ascending order, occurred in 2016, 1910, and mother of all moistness, 1658. Pierre, get your paddle. I realised as I was reading that, the way you do, that I seem to have decided to not let on what the 1910 date was until about the end of the second paragraph. And I was getting a little bit uneasy there as I read it, because I was thinking, hang on a second, people haven't got a clue what you're talking about, the mysterious 1910. So, you know, that's something you can think about. You can do that. You can go into some people do this in French, they do this a lot. They give you all sorts of details about something that they haven't told you what it is yet. I'm just trying to work out if it's in English that people do that or in French. So, yeah, because in English you want the subject, the verb, and then the verb, whatever the verb is acting on. You know, I saw a cat. In English, we want to know what you saw immediately. We want to know cat. Then you can tell me, you know, its colour, when you saw it, where it was, what the weather was like. So some people, especially French people, it's just because it's my personal experience, will say, I saw yesterday in the road as I was walking to the shops in the rain at about 3:30. Now, I am screaming at them from the second they've said the verb saw. I want to know what they saw. And they're giving me all sorts of details without telling me. And then right at the end, after about 5 minutes later, they'll say, a cat. And it's too late. They've lost me. I've wandered off. So it's a little bit like that in a story. If you give too much information without saying what it's about, people might get a bit irritated. But in this case, I kind of went for it, because the flip side of that is keep them desperately wanting to know what this 1910 is, for example. And I will read one more because it kind of goes with it. No, actually, I was going to say something else about that. I was going to say, I tried to slot in a few words relating to wetness. If you noticed, I don't know if you did, and it might be good that you didn't, because that means they're not too obvious. Again, it's a balance between how obvious do you make your sort of references. So, for example, as you wade around the city, wade means to walk through quite deep water, up to your thighs probably. But I hadn't said that the 1910 was about the flooding. But that's a kind of a hint and also their proximity to the Seine hints at their meaning. So we're getting the idea there. Quayside stone. I was just looking, there was another one somewhere. Particularly puddly periods, I thought was quite cute. Because obviously puddly, yeah, but it's a lot more than puddles. People were up to their necks swimming and canoeing around. And I said, as the three highest floods in ascending order. This is a sort of play on words, ascending, because as water goes up, it ascends, or maybe it mount. I'm not sure if there's another word for it, but this is a kind of a double thing I was attempting here. And the mother of all moistness, I thought was funny. And Pierre Get Your Paddle, there was an old film called something like Annie Get Your Gun from many, many years before I was born. And that made me think of that, Pierre Get Your Paddle, with a little bit of Frenchness in there. And the follow-on one from that, before I look at your stuff, was this, just round the corner. In curious counterpoint to When Lady Eiffel Smiles number 1048, and it's all but the biggie high watermarks, all the dates except the biggest one, 1910 and 1658. Just around the corner, there's this reminder that we're never safe nor sure. It was in 1910 that Parisians were teetering around on elevated boardwalks and gangplanks when they weren't actually using canoes to get from place to place in the inundated town centre. There are some old pictures from 1910, amazing, just check them out. Paris 1910 floods images, really, really amazing. Looking down to the banks of the river from the road, which is above and behind this leering lamp, it's almost inconceivable to think that the inner arrondissement, the districts, were literally swimming in Seine sewage or whatever state it was in over a century ago. So, it was literally, the water was at this mark, which means way, way over my head as I took this photograph. And indeed, flooding the streets of Paris. The fun fact is, there's a cycle of roughly 100 years between real monster floods, or so they like to say. So there's a cycle of roughly 100 years between the real monster floods, or so they like to say. It's sort of urban legends. It's every 100 years or so. It's not really, but people like to have these stories. It makes their things more exciting in their lives. Maybe it was the pretty biggie back in 2016, or could that just have been a warm-up and the amuse-gueule, the little tidbits, as it were, before the true Kraken wakes? I hope Pierre's still got his paddle when that happens. So a little reference back to the other article that I wrote. That was what I was inspired to. So I'm struggling between, in my daily writings, do I make them Paris history and curiosities, observations about life, the universe and everything, or just personal anecdotes? And I'm kind of, I'm just not quite sure. And to be honest, I've just decided to not be sure and do whatever comes out. Because if you force yourself to do anything to please others in your writing, you're not pleasing yourself. And that means you'll be less inclined to do it, and what comes out will be less you and more what you think other people would like. And to an extent you can do that. A lot of people do. A lot of writers obviously write to command. It's like artists painting what they think people want, or because someone has asked for, could you do one like that but in another colour? And they want the artist to repeat themselves. This is almost the death of creativity. When someone asks you, could you do that but just a little bit different? For me, that's great. It could be good, but at the same time, you've kind of sold your soul. So I'm still doing this strange, after 1,000 of these, I'm still doing this strange mixture of, sometimes it's a personal anecdote, sometimes it's a bit of Paris history, sometimes it's a bit of a curiosity from Paris. There's tons of those, which I love, it's my passion. And sometimes it's a bit of irony, or even occasionally a bit of social commentary. So I'll leave those now and I'll go over to your stuff, or our stuff. So the weekly theme, which didn't really take off, my fault. I'll try and think of another one for this time. So, Dorothy. That was too deep, like the floods of Seine. That was too deep. Okay, so Dorothy is writing regularly now, and she's getting more and more poetic in her writing, in your writing, Dorothy. And now, I'm not sure if this is I'm just going to read it, shut up. Should I make it bigger? Can I make it bigger so you can read along a sab? Does that get bigger? Yes, it does. Nice, okay. So, I'm just going to read it and see whatever comes to me, and you can do the same, okay? Dorothy, you can say any comments that you wanted to add. Vespina or anyone else who is watching, please say hello. Any comments about this? Today's the day. Look at these lovely photographs. Today's the day. Hang on a second. She's writing today's the day, but I've got another group called Today's the Day. But anyway, when I heard a recording from Sab that photographers regret the photos they have seen but have not taken. Yeah, the imaginary photographs. My attention went to a bush nearby. The fruits just cracked and some real fruits were shown. I'd better take a picture soon, I thought. Now, I heard. I like this sort of stream of consciousness. You know, it's in a way you're writing in a way that you took the photograph. It sounds like you're just telling a story very spontaneously, which is often really nice. While preparing the picture, a big spider was close. I'll take both, I thought, but the spider moved quickly up on his line. Something moved, and it was a fly. The spider made the fly spin with a thread until it was dead. You watched all of this, wow. The spider then pulled the fly into a leaf and closed the leaf with its threads. 2 minutes later, the scene was gone. 30 minutes before, I had asked the question. I said, I want to take a picture on the spider web. We say a web, which is a beautiful word. I wonder if there is any spider's web or net I can take photos on. The fly and spider made me see the net, the web, but it took to the afternoon to get the right light to take photos. So let's have a look at those. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Look at those are in the background incredibly thin, you know, I mean, microscopically thin. And because of both the lighting and the focus, they've turned into big, I think those are spiderweb things, but look how they've turned out. Incredible. And sorry, I should look in the foreground, shouldn't I? Can I see a spider anywhere? I'm not sure. And there's a spider, a bit out of focus. Impressions of spiders. And is that the little spider tucked in there? Or its victim, or its victim. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Dorothy. And Dorothy's she's on a roll. She keeps on, Dorothy, you keep on bringing out stuff on a regular basis. It's fantastic. It's like me with my poems. I'm finding a poem is popping out most chapters or several, you know, every few chapters. And I'm so happy about that. I get a bit sad when I'm not, every now and then there isn't a bit of poetry. I think I'm getting too serious. Despina says, Dorothy's fairy tale of photo and spider. Wonderful. Yeah. So this is Despina. And Despina has done a series of 4 on the 4 agreements. Funny, I was talking with another friend about the 4 agreements, who was saying that that book and another one changed her life. It's not that these ideas are completely new, but just the way of seeing them collected together, the way the writer presented them, the simplicity, the profundity, really did it for her. And I think it's very similar for you, Despina. And I'm just trying to remember what the other book was. Oh, yeah. I think it was Words Are Windows or something like that. You know, the thing on non-violent communication was the other one for this person. Why don't you let me know what book has been one of the most profound books or one of the most life-changing books for you? That would be really interesting to hear. And I'll try and think of one of mine. So just a little thing to put in the chat. What is 1 or 2 of the most life-changing, profound books that you have ever read? That'd be great. And why, maybe? Why? So, have you changed the colour? I don't remember it being purple. Okay, Fill in My Heart from Despina. The 4th agreement. Always do your best. That's the 4th agreement. You don't summarise them this time? No. Because you did that in the 3rd one. That's the 4th agreement. Always do your best. And when I think about this, it's not that easy. I was talking about this with my other friend yesterday. Yeah, it's not that easy to always do your best. It's not that easy to always be authentic with your word. And how can you always do your best? Because what if you're not feeling your best? What if you're feeling tired or down or pissed off with something? Can you still do your best? And we came to the conclusion it was about doing your best given the circumstances that you have, but always doing your best as the ideal, not giving up or not giving a shit. So always do your best. I'm going to read a bit. That's the fourth agreement. It's in the third line of the chapter. So when I first saw it, I thought, what is this? Perhaps raising my eyebrow un peu suspiciously. Un peu? That's French. And yes, I did break the third agreement, making all kinds of assumptions before I started reading the rest of the chapter. I think that's the third agreement's one to work on. So I kept reading. Not fully concentrated, I admit. Not doing my best to understand the chapter. This is interesting because you're starting your article with conflict. You weren't particularly convinced about what you read. As you were reading, you weren't following one of the other agreements. That's interesting because it sows intrigue. It makes me want to know what's coming next. Did, in the end, you finally love it? Did you see why the author did what they did at the beginning? I want to know this now. Oh boy, I am feeling guilty. This book contains so much wisdom, but I'm not giving it the credit that it deserves, just because I didn't like the first 3 lines. I am getting more and more interested in reading this damn book because I've never read it. I've read what they are, the 4 things, but I haven't read it, so maybe I should. Do you think I should? So if you're watching, please tell me a book or 2 books, because this might be your first one, Despina, 1 or 2 books which have really changed your life. Can you think of those and let us know what they are? By the way, if you're watching the replay, hello and welcome. You can take part as well. Say hello and say what book has really changed your life. And I've got a couple coming up. If you show me yours, I will tell you a couple of mine, but only if. That's the deal. So I've got, at least 3 of you tell me what books have really changed your life. Okay, so let's get on with this. Oh well, it is what it is. That is one of my all-time favourite ways of looking at life. It is what it is. And then I read, when you do your best, you don't give the judge the opportunity to find you guilty or to blame you. If you have done your best and the judge tries to judge you according to your book of laws, you've got the answer. I did my best. So I was feeling guilty because I wasn't doing my best. Interesting. Okay, I get it, Don Ruiz. You also made me feel relieved as I read, your best will vary from day to day, depending on whether you're happy, upset or jealous. And to weave it all together, he mentions that for the other 3 agreements to work, we need to do our best. Yes, there will be days that we will gossip and judge. This is going back to, is it the first or second one, where your word is supposed to be impeccable? And I had this discussion with my friend about, isn't having opinions and stuff like that actually just human? Or maybe it was with Despina as well. And yeah, because my friend was phoned by someone who wanted her advice on whether someone should join some association that she was part of or not. And she was thinking, well, she didn't say anything bad about this person. Not because she had bad things to say, but she was trying hard to follow this idea of not saying anything bad about anyone, because that's gossip and that's ultimately not very helpful. If you see this repeated all over the place. If you haven't got anything worth saying, keep your mouth shut, which is pretty good. I think it's a good way to look at things. It's so tempting to gossip. We think it's fun. Are we taking away a bit of the fun of life if we can't gossip about people? That's the thing that worries me. If you're not allowed to make fun of anyone, even idiots, what have we got left? Are we all going to be happy, smiley, shiny people who, squeaky clean? And I don't know. This is something that's in the back of my mind with these ideas. Okay, so, and to weave it all together, he mentions that the other 3 to work need to do our best. Yes, there will be days that we will gossip and judge and take it personally and assume. I guess this whole post is breaking almost all the agreements. I think the only it's like a teacher. The only way you can really learn is to teach. I think one of the best ways of learning something is to teach it to others. And then you realize just how little you understand in some areas. And in trying to explain it to others, you get a better understanding of it yourself. And it's a bit like this. You're saying, I guess this whole post is breaking almost all the agreements. But in saying that very sentence, you have considered all of the 4 agreements again and seen how in everyday speech and writing we do break these agreements, and you wouldn't have seen it in that way if you hadn't written the post. So it's utterly worth writing the post. In your trying to teach us or inform us, you are getting a deeper understanding. And there's nothing, that's perfect, isn't it? You couldn't be doing something better than that, than trying to explain it to us. And you're also giving us a service, reminding us of these valuable ideas. So as Scarlett O'Hara said, you know Scarlett O'Hara? Wow. Tomorrow is another day. We can start anew. And agree to do our best by being impeccable with our word, not taking it personally and not making assumptions. That is the 4 agreements in a nutshell and in a part of a sentence. It is a book that is so simply powerful. Thank you, Don Miguel Ruiz, for giving birth to this book. Thank you, Taz, for creating the book club and making me read the book because I would otherwise push it back to my to-read list. Thank you all for reading my thoughts. You can buy the book here. Oh my God, there it is. The 4 agreements. Okay, so great. Thanks for that. Well done for writing that. So we've got. So you've got to write about something else now because there's only 4, or is there 5 because he needed to buy another house somewhere? I think there might be a 5th one. So it's like Stephen Covey, was it, with the 7 habits of powerful people or something? And at some point he decided that he'd discovered another one. Bam, another book. Cool. The perfume, and L'étranger. Okay, that's great. I have read The Perfume. I know Albert Camus. Did he write? Who was the one who wrote Metamorphosis, or the one where the guy turns into a beetle? That was pretty stunning. I'm not sure. Maybe I need to read L'étranger, The Stranger. My God. And Perfume was amazing. I read it and was amazed by that book. I've got a feeling I tried to read it in French when I just first arrived here more than 20 years ago. I remember that being an amazing book. I'd never read a book like it. Quite extraordinary, yeah. How did it affect you, Despina? What is the one thing that makes you, if one possible thing, that makes you say that is one of the most powerful books you've read? I'd love to know why, just one reason. And Dorothy says, Book Mutant Message Down Under. I don't know that. Book Mutant Message Down Under. I have no idea what that is. Could you tell us why that book, just in a short sentence, why that book is powerful for you? Kafka wrote Metamorphosis. Kafka, yeah. So Camus, I have to work out. Albert, yeah, I have to work out why I don't know much about Albert Camus. And Thomas is here. Hello, Thomas. Thomas, could you tell us what book has had a powerful effect on you? Just one, 1 or 2 books that have had a real powerful effect on you. There's one that I haven't got here, which is Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. And that was powerful. And that led on to me reading 2 or 3 of his books. And another one, which is really powerful by him, is called Illusions. And strangely enough, that book is almost all I need to know about life. It seems that, he was a modern writer, although it was in the 70s. But that little book, it's a story. But from what I can remember, it was really profound. Illusions by Richard Bach. And Jonathan Livingston Seagull was a beautiful parable about humans, but through a seagull. I can't even remember now. It was about, not having he wanted to fly not like the other seagulls. The other seagulls wanted to do things sensibly, and he wanted to do things crazily, see how far he could fly, how fast. If he could tumble down, could he pull out of the dive right at the last second, stuff like that. And I think he got cast out and then he helped everyone at the end or something like that. It was really cool. It's a beautiful book. I know French people always cite Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince, and I'm ashamed to say I've got copies of it and I haven't read it. I can't remember having read it. I know I've touched it, and I think that's very much similar. It's quite similar. The perfume, because it opens my nose. I was going to say open your eyes. I thought you were going to say open your eyes. Open my nose and my sense of smell. Yeah, it was extraordinary. Thomas says, I've just thought about the perfume because of this. In this book, I described bridges with houses on. Oh, yeah, that's right. In Paris. Yeah, and I was actually talking about that 2 days ago on the photography show when I was describing this photograph. Hang on, which photograph? I was talking about this photograph. Looking at the bridge. Oh no, I think I was talking about this photograph, which I think it's the same bridge actually, which is called Pont Neuf, the new bridge, which is the oldest standing bridge in Paris. And yeah, I think it was the first one that didn't have houses on between the banks of the river and the island, Ile de la Cité. I think that was what distinguished it. It was the first one that didn't have houses on. So there's a link to that. And L'étranger was me back in the days, a bit aloof and misunderstood by society. And now? Book that changes my life. Wow, don't know if I can say something about this right now. Okay, well, I won't comment on that then. I love that seagull. That seagull. This seagull? You love this seagull. Wow. I hope it's reciprocated. We have a beautiful, beautiful love story here. And which one anyway? There's several there. You must read The Little Prince. Yeah, I mean, I've half read it or read it, had it read to me. I don't know. I can't remember. I know it's people always quote from it, and I say, yeah, that's right, and wish I'd actually could remember having read it. I did try many of the tools. What tools are those? My toning journey started. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Dorothy, you have to let me know a little bit more on that. Yes, this was why I was thinking about this book. Yeah, the perfume book. Yeah, that is. I have to read that again as well. Now, I'm less étranger. You know, in French, étranger is an interesting word because in French people will often say in English, you're a stranger. But what they mean is you're a foreigner. Because étranger in French means foreigner in English. Whereas a stranger, so a foreigner, someone from another country. A stranger is someone you don't know. And in French, that's inconnu, an inconnu, someone that you don't know. So that's what we call a false friend, faux ami. Sounds like it's going to be the same in English and French, and it isn't. And that's one of the fun aspects of language, actually, false friends. Sorry, but I think I will not give a book right now. We'll do it on a comment later. The Seagull Jonathan is also a book. Yeah, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, it's called. And I know this girl called Jonathan. She's French, but she's called Jonathan, but with an E on the end. And she's a bit of a Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And Dorothy says, by reading the book. The tools by reading the book. Try many of the tools in the book. Maybe you're talking about the Four Agreements book. All right, so let me. I wanted to show you something actually. That words that came to me in the post today, and this is rather interesting. So check this out. I better not. I'm not going to show the address here. I can show you my address. This came to me in the post today. Can you believe it? That's me, my address. And that's a stamp. And this is the thing. And this is the other side. Can you see what it says there? Eat weird ice cream. It doesn't want to focus. Eat weird ice cream, and then there's a bit of a thing written down there. It says, though today we part in pain, though today we part in... And what a weird and wonderful thing to arrive in the post. This looks like it's cardboard from some drinks, because there it says brew. Eat weird ice cream is what it is, right? And I'm not supposed to show you the address just in case. Hang on. And there it is. And I almost threw it out with the sort of supermarket brochure crap and other junk mail. And it's a piece of art. This is from Nina Lockwood, who sends these to people. And I will be sending her one of my puzzle pieces in a puzzle pack as a return artistic exchange. How cool is that? She's just put all these scraps of stuff on a piece of card that she's found. Goodness knows where she's found them all. And she's sent it off with, you know, a scrap of paper with the address to see if it made it to the other side of the Atlantic. And it did. There it is. How about that? So that's cool, isn't it? That's really fun. Not so much about words, but there are some intriguing words. I can't quite work out what this word here says. A masterpiece unveiled. I've just managed to work it out. A masterpiece unveiled. So that is, it's really funny. It's really fun. You know, I don't know anyone else who does that. I know Kirsten, who's in the Today's the Day group and the Infinite Creativity Now group. She does this thing called exchanges of artists' cards. So she's in a group of people, and so she takes 8 or 9 playing cards, she paints them in her style, she sends them off, and so do the other people. So you end up receiving all the other people's cards, and you collect them as sort of an artist's, just a cool thing, which is nice. I was Nina. Yeah, Kirsten, Nina. Thomas is just asking who it is. Kirsten, Nina. Yeah, Nina is a coach and from America. And this is a book that has come to my mind. I didn't say that. This is a book which I see every few months, and I think I must look into that from time to time. Mindfulness is one of those words, isn't it? It's one of those sort of trendy words, and I don't really know what it means exactly, you know, but it's kind of... Anyway, it's full of these sort of nice little things that... And you can open it anywhere and see what happens and see what it says. It's a bit like this book. This book is from decades ago, decades. I think I had it before I came to France, and it's called Begin It Now. You have a purpose, begin it now. It's a sequel to another book which I don't have. And this is a book you can open up. It's sort of inspirational. And it's quite cool. And so I'm going to open it just randomly. And this is just for the sake of it. And see what happens. This is by someone called Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. Don't know if you know her, him, it. How much longer will you go on letting your energy sleep? How much longer are you going to stay oblivious of the immensity of yourself? Don't lose time in conflict. Lose no time in doubt. Time can never be recovered. And if you miss an opportunity, it may take many lives before another comes your way again. That's cool, isn't it? I don't know if it's just fun to open it up. It's like tarot, or it's like reading your horoscope. You read it, it sounds nice, and then you go and do something else. But that does sort of tie into, you know, a huge sort of world view which is slowly developing. It links in with something that Despina said earlier about just doing it. You know, hang on, no, it was Dorothy. It was Dorothy about just having the idea of taking a photograph and then just doing it instead of thinking, oh, I should have taken a photograph. Why bother regretting something when you could have done it for very little effort? And it's a bit like that. Don't lose time in conflict. The conflict can be the conflict in your mind. Should I do it? I don't have time. Often you can do it in 1 second flat. That's cool. And then there's a sort of, fluffy feel good. How much longer will you go on letting your energy sleep and all that sort of stuff. But I still, think it's cool. How much longer are you going to stay oblivious of the immensity of yourself? That is something that we talk about in coaching and things like that. The idea that we're amazing is actually not on everybody's minds and not on everyone's lips, surprisingly enough. Seemingly surprisingly enough, but it's not. A lot of people think they're crap. A lot of people think they've got nothing to offer, and yet it's not true. Write. You can write something. Do you want to do a quick a poem challenge before we finish? Quick poem challenge. Hang on. Now what have I got here? Desponus, don't worry, Sab. It took me a year to realise what mindfulness is. And she also says, Sab, you're getting more spiritual, but you're not admitting it yet. I don't believe in anything, including spirituality. So this is all just nonsense. I'm just talking crap. Everything I say is crap. Don't believe a word I say. What about a quick poem to see if you are up for poetry? So I've got this book, and look what a beautiful state it's in. The Arrow Book of Funny Poems. And this is the back cover. There you see it. There you don't. So it's it's lived. This book has definitely lived, and it's kind of cute, and it's the sort of thing you could do during this show. So what about a limerick or a quick 4-line poem, just about something you've done today, about something that's come up during the show, about anything? Can you string 4 lines together in a poetic way? This is a limerick. Do you know what a limerick is? A limerick goes like this. There was a young lad from Bombay who never felt merry or gay. Then he took a good look at the poems in this book and he laughed for the rest of the day. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. That's a limerick. So you could write a limerick. You could light a limerick if you like, or you could write something else. But they are incredibly easy to do. I'll try and find another one. Limericks. They're great for kids as well because it's so simple. They can almost start the same way every time. There was a young something from someone. You see, it goes like that. Let's see if I can find some more. I probably won't now, but I'll try and write one. So, for example, there was a young lady from Greece who... I'm trying to think of a word that rhymes with Greece now. There was a young lady from Greece who wrapped herself up in a fleece. A fleece is a sheep's wool. Sheep's wool. You chop the. Actually, I think you chop the skin off the sheep, so there isn't much sheep left to talk about. So there was a young lady from Greece who wrapped herself up in a fleece. She ate olives all day till the cold went away, and the other sheep left her in peace. Okay, so there was a young lady from Greece who wrapped herself up in a fleece. She ate olives all day till the cold went away, and the other sheep left her in peace. So that's a limerick. They're nonsense. They're absolute nonsense. But there can be a bit of logic in there. But don't worry about logic really, because it can be complete nonsense. And there's some other types of poems in here which are really cool as well. Some of them are ironic. Some of them are kind of sad. So, for example, this one is epitaphs. Epitaphs. An epitaph is what you write on a grave, and sometimes they're poems. And sometimes there are funny ones, not always, but sometimes. So this one is called Gone But Not Forgotten. This troubled world is sighing now. The flu is at the door. And many folks are dying now who never died before. This troubled world is sighing now. The flu is at the door. and many folks are dying now who never died before. So that's actually rather ironically sad. It's funny because, and many folks are dying now who never died before. In itself, that's so funny. It's amusing, and yet it's not funny that people are dying. You know, and they talk about the flu as well. So it's kind of a bitter. It's not really bittersweet, but it's because this is funny poetry. These are funny poems, so you know it's not sort of awfully sad. Here's another one. It's an epitaph that might or may not, you know, be on a grave. I'm not sure if they would. I think it's just more for fun. On Leslie Moore. Here lies what's left of Leslie Moore. No Les, no more. That's quite funny as well. And I'll read you one more. No, I'll read you another one. Yeah, this is on a dentist. On a dentist. So it's on the graveyard, on the tombstone of a dentist. Stranger, approach this spot with gravity. John Brown is filling his last cavity. So approach this spot with gravity, in other words, with seriousness. John Brown is filling his last cavity. He's filling the hole of the grave, and he spent his life filling holes in teeth. And here's one more. Again, playing with language. On John Bunn. Here lies John Bunn. He was killed by a gun. His name was not Bunn, but Wood. But Wood would not rhyme with gun, and Bunn would. so funny. I'll do it again. On John Bunn. Here lies John Bunn. He was killed by a gun. His name was not Bunn, but Wood. But Wood would not rhyme with gun, and Bunn would. You could say, but Bunn would. Yeah, that's cool. So there was a little bit of culture. Culture. Sort of culture, yeah. Despina says, lol. Probably about me saying that I don't believe in anything, including spirituality. Look but don't see. Glance but not gaze in glee. Await but don't expect your glorious thee, since you mentioned the lady in a flea. Look but don't see. Glance but not gaze in glee. Await but don't expect... I'm trying to get it to scan, which I can't, but I'll try. Look but don't see. Glance but not gaze in glee. Await but don't expect your glorious thee, since you mentioned the lady in a flea. Good. Good stuff. Spontaneous. Thomas says, I fell in love with a... Oh, I thought it was a poem. I fell in love with a Scottish girl this week, but she never got my letter from Greece. I'm waiting for hours to get a response, but all I get is a lovely pic of hers. I want to know who this Scottish girl is. You've mentioned her a few times. I was born in Scotland, Edinburgh, and I left with my parents when I was 2. And as I said somewhere, I've never been in love with a Scottish girl, but I did know someone who, a French girl who spoke English with a Scottish accent, which was kind of weird because she'd lived a lot in Edinburgh or somewhere, Glasgow. And it was really weird having a French girl speaking to me in a Scottish accent. I fell in love with a Scottish girl this week. Thomas, you said it was a picture or a painting, a picture. And I'd love to see that. It would be so cool to see the picture. I fell in love with a girl on the cover of an album once. I might be able to find it. But she never got my letter from Greece. My letter from Greece, okay? I'm waiting for hours to get a response. But all I get is a lovely pic of hers. We want to know more about this Greek story here. Despina says, laugh out loud, lol with the less dentist. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? So let me see if I can find the... I'm going to try and find the photo of the girl that I fell in love with on an album cover many decades ago. So it's an album, and it's something about when I was sweet 16. When I was sweet 16 album cover images. If this comes up immediately, it's going to be spooky blast from the past here. There it is. The Furies. When you were sweet 16. Okay. Oh, there's only one. There's only one picture of it. Maybe if I put Furies when you were... I'll get a better image. Furies when you were sweet 16. Images. No. Not much better. So there it is. And can you believe that this image stayed with me for decades? Since I was a kid, I think. I remember seeing this in the old days, I used to go down the hill. It was my Saturday morning ritual. I'd go down the hill every Saturday morning with my pocket money, and I'd come back with a bag of albums, maybe 2 or 3 albums. And I was the sort of king of the flicking through the album thing, like that. And it was sort of a competition you'd have with someone standing next to you. You wouldn't look at them and you wouldn't say anything, but you'd try and flick through. You'd flick through all the albums. You'd try to do it faster than the person next to you, so they would know that you were an album flicking pro. Anyway, so when I saw this, I don't know if I actually ever bought the album, and yet this image has stayed with me for so long, until now. So thanks for reminding me of that, Thomas, because these little memories, there's so many memories there, but most of our memories will never come back to us. We've lost most of them because we won't have a trigger to bring them back. And when they come back, we're really happy. Sometimes we're a little bit sad as well, because we remember something from the past which makes us sad, or even happy, or a bit of both, bittersweet. But so part of writing, I think, part of taking photographs, part of writing is to trigger those hidden, those buried emotions, those old memories in people, to bring those back, to take them back to other times, so that our writing and our photography and our images, whatever they may be, or our music, whatever it is, opens up doors that have been long closed in other people's lives, to help enrich their lives through us offering a little bit of ours. So that's why I think it's so precious. It's so important to create and to share. For me, without sharing, creation isn't really a thing. Create and share, and things will happen. So thanks for that. We've had that one. The famous Scottish girl. I'm not sure I should tell, because it is only a pic from a Scottish girl, but if the artist didn't show the picture here, I will not tell from who is that picture. Well, you don't do anything that you don't want to. I think that's absolutely clear. Obviously, I'm not too bothered about showing you this picture because I never knew her, unfortunately. There's something innocent, there's beautifully innocent, that tousled hair, the red hair is typically Scottish, and I think the Furies were Scottish, unless they were Irish. Irish is quite similar to Scottish, to be honest, in the emotions that it brings up in me and the music. And the great thing about, maybe it's Irish, the Furies maybe it's Irish, but it's kind of similar, Celtic origins. And the thing about traditional Scottish music and Irish music is there are some incredibly sad laments. There are some rousing, almost warrior type tunes, but like played on traditional Scottish instruments. For example, the bodhrán, which is this big drum type thing, and you hit it with this double-headed hammer like this, and you go like this, and it sounds really cool. And then the singing is very strong, and there are songs which show an incredible sense of humour. Really, the Scots and the Irish. The Scots, I'll talk about the Scots because I am Scottish. I was born in Scotland. They've got a certain sense of humour which is really wry, really pretty cool. Even though the English themselves, or the British as a nation, I like this sense of humour. I do love it. It's my sense of humour, very much my sense of humour. but the Scots have taken it to another place. Some of it is making fun of the English, to be honest. That's a big topic in Scottish humour, is making fun of the English. But anyway, so you do what you like, Thomas. You know, thanks Thomas for being such an intriguing character. You know, we're getting to see more of you as time goes on, and it's getting more and more interesting, to be honest. And Despina says she has ginger hair and she looks like you a bit. Okay. I'm wondering if she looks a bit like my son. He's got a kind of a round face these days. He's a bit chubby. He's 11 now. He's a bit chubby, my son. And what did you say in brackets? A lot. Okay. Maybe she looks like my daughter as well. Angelina. You have in Scotland also a language like Gaelic, yeah. I think it's called Scottish Gaelic. Yeah. I mean, Scots. They call it Scots. And there's a kind of a drift from true Gaelic, which was another language, towards English. So it's sort of English, highly tinted with special words that have got, not at all English words. For example, small or little in English is wee in Scottish, and a little child is a bairn. So a wee bairn plus the accent, a wee bairn is a small child. So there are some words, they are literally different words. It's not like in French, in English table, in French table, the same spelling. There are words which are utterly different, which are used until today. So there's this kind of cross between English and original Scots, original Gaelic, which was another language, Celtic language. Yeah. So that's an hour. I'm done here. I'm out of here. Oh yeah, I'll finish with one thing from my little mindfulness for everyday book. I actually got a book a while ago, but I got it for my dad. My parents moved to the Lake District, which is a beautiful walking district in the northwest of England. Never eat shredded wheat. Northwest of England. And he loves rambling in the hills. So I bought him this book. It was called A Book of Mindfulness for Ramblers, something like that. And it's really nice. It's for, I think there's a series, sort of mindfulness quotes or mindfulness ideas for people on a specific activity. I'll see if I can find it actually. Amazon. I'll do Amazon. Why not? Amazon.fr. Mindfulness for Ramblers. I think it's a little book of mindfulness for ramblers. Mindfulness for Ramblers. And I gave it to him. Damn it. Which means I haven't got it anymore. Little book of mindfulness for ramblers. Mindfulness for walkers. I know this is exciting radio. Little book of mindfulness for ramblers. Little book of mindfulness, ramblers, walkers. I was about to say bingo there, and it isn't bingo at all, is it? There, got it. You got it, you little bugger. Got you. There it is. So it's mindful thoughts. Come on, a little bit more effort. It's mindful thoughts for walkers. Is it going to blow this up or not? Mindful thoughts for walkers. Footnotes on the Zen path. Really nice little book. I got it at the same time as this, but I just happened to decide to give it to my dad. And I don't regret it much, but I want to get it again. And it's always the same stuff, but I like it. So anyway, I'm going to read you something from this. I opened it at this, the thing that I'm going to read you. And that's going to be the thing I'll leave you with. These sort of books, they're designed that you open them up and like zodiac bullshit, like zodiac readings in the newspapers, you're supposed to be able to relate it to your life in some way. So, you can. So, read. I literally opened it at this just a minute ago. And here it is. And it says, do you have the patience, there's a duck, by the way, duck. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? And then the second part, guess who it's by, unless you saw it already. I won't do it. And the second part is, can you remain, focus, can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? Any ideas who that's by? I won't tell you. Just see if anyone's still awake. Who do you think that's by? It's mindfulness for every day. So it's by someone famous. Actually, that's not 100% true, but who do you think it's by? Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? And this makes me think of the people who desperately run around trying to find solutions to problems, which, to be honest, aren't really problems unless they consider them problems. So they decide something's a problem and then they run around trying to solve it. And the metaphor is about you're running around so much that you're clouding the water. You can't see a thing because you're so busy desperately digging down at the bottom of the lake, as it were, churning up the mud. And there's no way you can see clearly. And what you actually have to do, according to this sort of metaphor, is nothing. Chill out, calm down, don't panic, let the mud settle. This is mindfulness, man. Maybe I should get into guided meditations. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of cool people do that. You know, and the mud settles because you're not doing anything, or you're not worrying about anything. Put it that way. The mud settles, and suddenly, oh, it's clear. I can see what to do. It's like going for a walk. Instead of stressing out, phoning people, sending off emails, chill out and go for a walk. And you come back, and either you see a really good thing to do, or you decide not to do something that you were going to do, or there ain't no problem anymore. The problem's disappeared. You realise that it wasn't actually a problem, or wasn't worth worrying about. So that's cool. So who do you think did it? Okay, so Despina says, I would say Buddha or Lao Tse. Who do you have to bet my money on? Who do I have to bet my money on? So, okay, so here it is. Once more for good luck. Do you have the patience to? And by the way, how are you in terms of this sort of stuff? Are you a sort of chilling out person? Just watch it float by. It'll be gone. There'll be something else along in a minute. Or do you stress out like crazy? I'm fine if people stress out like crazy because I want to coach them. So, do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? And the answer is Lao Tzu or Lao Tse. So, good for you. And I think that's great. I think that's a really good way of looking at life. And what was I going to say? I don't know. Can't remember. Yeah, I was going to say, apparently Lao Tse or Lao Tzu, they now reckon it wasn't one person. It was a collection of Buddhist or Taoist sayings. Taoist sayings. I love the Taoist sayings. I think they're cool. Completely obscure, but then how can you explain in words the unexplainable? So I think it's great. All right, so that was a mad mixture of all sorts of stuff. Thank you for watching. Feel free to just say hello, say who you were, because I don't know who you all are that are watching. I can see a few of you. If you liked it, if you appreciated it, it's something I do almost every Thursday. Look into words, my words, your words, interesting words from around the world, and just marvel at them, marvel at this attempt that we make to make sense of it all, to move people, to emote, and to be creative as well. So that's what this show is about, appreciating the beauty of language in all its wonderfulness, craziness, and I do that every week. And there'll be more where that came from. That's it for now. Bye-bye, and good night, Despina. Despinamu, can I say that? Despinamu? Good night, spiritual Sab. You are unique in whatever you do. Yeah, I am. Yeah. as we all are, and we all need to realise that we're unique, and yet we're part of the whole. So there you go. My last pseudo spiritual proclamation for the night. Karina, thank you. Just caught the last few minutes. Lovely quote. Hello, Karina. Yeah, you have, but you know it's recorded, so you can go back and see what a whole show is like if you like. It's a mixture. I was just saying well, maybe if you saw the last few minutes, you saw what I just said. So thanks so much for watching. I'm really pleased. And yeah, it's the wonder of language, the beauty, the craziness, the cookiness, the profundity, anything to do with words, language, and it's all just ways of trying to touch people, isn't it? It's all ways of trying to connect, yet again. So that's what this show's about. Okay, so nothing. Thank you, Sab. This was amazing. I'm really pleased you liked it, Thomas. You're not so unamazing yourself. Thank you, Despina. And I look forward to seeing next week. Yeah, well, you know, Karina, if you have got a moment, check out the show from the beginning and you'll get the feel for it. I talk about my writings. I write every day, and without any pretension whatsoever. And I love sharing your writings as well. So if you join the group, if you're not in it, Creative Blog and Article Writing Group, share your writings. I try and have a theme. I'm not very consistent. Share your writings and I will appreciate them. And give feedback if anyone wants feedback, you know, from someone who has been in language for a long, long time, or simply just appreciate. It's entirely up to you. So thanks everyone, and I'll talk to you again soon. Soon could be as soon as tomorrow, when in the Today's the Day group, I appreciate your Today's the Days. There are some wonderful ones to appreciate tomorrow, and I'll also do my Zoom call, my Friday Zoom call, which is Friday Fanfare. Feedback Friday Fanfare. It's where you literally come on live and it's a Zoom call and you just say, you know, something you're pleased with having done in the last few days. And the Monday show is the same, but you say what you're looking forward to doing. So that's part of my sort of inspirational, motivational world that I invite you into. And as usual, thanks for being part of my creative universe. And thank you for letting me be part of yours, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now, folks. Sab in Paris, over and out.